you for visiting my channel, Thinking Like a Virtuous Woman, where I inspire women to think like the woman in Proverbs 31, spiritually, financially, and also relationally. Now, I know I haven't been on this channel for a while. I'll admit I've been on my other channel more so because, you know, it's called Medical Assistant with Miss K, and because what I do over there is what I do on a daily basis anyway. I'm a medical assistant instructor, so that's what that channel is about. So it's a little bit easier for me to be consistent over there because this is what I'm doing on a daily basis anyway, those type of topics. So I want to do better over here, and I'm going to try. But anyway, today's video, I want to talk about how to get over heartbreak. Now, I did a video about this, I think it's been 3 years now, and I wanted to do an update because what I realized, and I still stand by everything I said in this video, but what I realized is that when I made that video, I've learned some things since then, and I want to go a little bit deeper in this video because when I made that video, it had been some years since I had experienced any type of disappointment or heartbreak, and so since then I have gone through it, and so I just wanted to kind of talk just be a little bit more. Go a little bit deeper, and you know, I'm a little bit more empathetic than what I was in that last video because I not that I didn't get it back then, because I had a heartbreak back then. That was actually, I did a video a little while back about the biggest heartbreak I ever had, and it turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. So I don't want to, you know, negate the fact that I experienced some real heartbreak back then, but it's just, I just want to, like I said, just go a little bit deeper with this one. And so, like I said, I do stand by everything I said in that video. And that leads me to my first tip, is letting yourself feel it. Now, and I did mention that in that first video, but I didn't go in deep. And one of the reasons why I wanted to really touch on this one again, because I've realized the importance of really letting yourself feel what you are feeling, really letting yourself just be mad, be angry, be sad, or whatever, because when you allow yourself to feel that, it allows you to get through it. Most of the time, what we run away from is the very thing that we need to embrace to get to the other side. So I really wanted to just stress the importance of allowing yourself to feel how you feel. Let yourself cry, let yourself be mad. Do not try to talk yourself out of being upset if that's what you are. Now, I don't want you to sit in it longer than what you have to, right? But at the same time, everybody is different, and what could take somebody a few weeks to get over could take somebody else a few months. Now, one of my friends that went through a heartbreak last year, she said that she gave herself 3 days to mourn, and she said, I had to get up out that bed. Now, see, that worked for her. I don't want people to get caught up in what worked for other people, but I do like the idea of giving yourself a time frame, right? You may say, you know what, I'm gonna let myself be sad and cry this week, but I'm getting up next week, right? But which is good, because you don't want to sulk in it too long, and you don't want to prolong it, because you can get caught up in the depression to the point where, you know, you just let yourself go and then you just don't do anything. Because I'll tell you, at least for me, and I know many people can relate, but a lot of times the worst part is when you wake up in the morning and reality hits you, and it is so hard to get out the bed. It's so hard to do anything, and that initial just getting out the bed, the initial trying to do something is the hardest part. But I promise you, once you do it, you start feeling better, right? You gotta just get past that initial feeling, right? And just pushing past that. And then once you start doing something, you will feel better. I can guarantee you that. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be just, you know, okay from here on out, but at least, you know, that moment, you have those moments to feel good. Because when you're grieving a loss, when you're mourning the loss of a relationship or a person, right? And in this case, you're grieving the loss of a person that's still alive. And that's even worse, because, you know, when when you lose a person that died, it's like you have no choice but to let them go. But when you have that person that's still around, that's still there, that's still alive, still kind of within reach, it's hard, right? And so you're going to have moments when you're okay, and then you're going to have moments where you're back to feeling depressed and feeling sad, and it's okay. But little by little, you're going to start realizing more and more, a little bit of them is going to be dropping up off you. Little by little, the more you go on, you're going to start feeling better and better each day. Now and again, could take a couple weeks, could take a few weeks or a few months. Everybody is different. But whatever you're feeling, get through it, because you got to feel it to get to the other side. There's no way to get through it without going through it, okay? Now, the next thing I would say is to avoid checking on their social media, right? If you follow them on Instagram or whatever, I would say unfollow them. Friends on Facebook, I would say unfriend them. Even if you got to block, do what you got to do, because the more you look, and I'm guilty of this, the more you look, oh, let me just go look. It's going to be the last time, right? The more you do that, the more you're holding on, because you see them, they may look good, then you've regressed. You may have been feeling good and thinking you're okay, then you see them, and then now you're back into that depressive state that you were before. Or what if you see them post somebody else or post something that, you know, really hurts you, and then you back in that depressive state? So I would say avoid looking at their social media. I know it's hard. Just avoid it. Block them. Just, you know, this heartbreak, this is hard, because I heard somebody say it's like a drug. It's like an addiction. Like you're addicted to that person, and it's like you just feel like, I just need one more hit and I'll be okay. You always feel like one more time, let me just get this, and it's never enough. Every time you feel like just one more time, one more thing, let me just do this one more time, it turns into 100 more times, and so you're prolonging your healing. So just don't check their social media. This next thing is probably the hardest. Well, it's all hard. I would say it's all hard, but I won't necessarily say it's the hardest. But I did a video a while back, and I talked about the number one reason why I feel like a lot of people can't let certain relationships go, and this is alluding to that. The thing that you want to do, you want to let go of the fantasy of what you wanted the relationship to be, right? Most of the time we're grieving what didn't even happen in a relationship. We're grieving because, you know, when you with that person, you're seeing, you know, you're seeing the future. You may be seeing the wedding, the kids and all of that stuff. So, you know, you got to kind of grieve the loss of the future that you thought you was going to have with that person, right? And even the good times, you got to stop meditating on the good times, because what happens when we break up with somebody, or, you know, and sometimes you may have not even necessarily been in the relationship, maybe even dating, and you didn't even get a chance to get to the relationship, right? But you were in love with this person, right? So you're grieving the fact that you didn't make it to the relationship. But what we do is we tend to think back to all the good times, right? And so I know I'm guilty of that. And one of the things that really helped me, and I'm almost embarrassed to say how many things, and no, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real with you, because this is the point of this video. But when I was trying to get through, get over someone, I had to make a list. I made a list of all the bad things, because when you write this stuff down, you realize it's more than what it is. Because when you sitting back, you're thinking about all the times they made you laugh, how cute they were, y'all little good memories and stuff. But when you really sit down and you write down all the bad stuff, I can admit that this one person, it was like 40 something negative things that he had done or said. Now, it wasn't things like cheating or like hitting me or anything like that, but it was very subtle things that was just dismissive and disrespectful. Like when you think of how many times that this person maybe carried you or stood you up, ignored you, just stuff like that, like did display that they had no character, no integrity. Like, make a list of all those things, and you'll start realizing that this person is not as great as I was making them out to be in my mind. I'm telling you, it works. Write down all the times you felt sad. They made you sad. They made you feel miserable. They made you feel worthless. Like all the times you had to, you know, maybe try to fight for the relationship, fight for respect. Write down, I'm telling you, that really helps, because then you could start looking at that. Every time you feel sad and you feel like you're missing this person, look at that list, and then you realize, wait a minute, what am I chasing? What am I missing? I'm missing, wait a minute, disrespect, he did this, okay, he stood me up, he ignored me, he did this. Like, you start realizing what you're actually chasing, and you start realizing, I'm not even missing anything. Now, the next thing I want you to do, and I'm gonna keep this one short, I want you to think about what you would tell your best friend. what would you tell your cousin or your sister, somebody that you care about that was in your situation? Think about if that person had told you that they were going through some of the things that you had gone through, what would you tell them? Like, think about it. It's so much easier when we're on the outside looking in because we're not emotionally attached. So I know it's harder when you're in it, but try to take yourself out of it and think like after you list those things, if your best friend, your sister, your cousin, somebody you care about told you that they had been dealing with all of that, what would you tell that person? And I'm gonna leave it right there. Next thing I'm gonna say, and this is a hard one, I get it. I mean, like I said, this is all hard. It's all hard. Heartbreak, it's not easy at all. But the next thing, you're gonna have to delete the text thread. I know it's hard. I already know. Because when we get with this person, we keep the text thread because we like to go back sometimes and think and smile. But holding on to the text thread, the pictures, is only going to prolong your pain. So if you truly are done with this person, if you truly want to get over them, you gotta delete the text thread, the DM thread, whatever. You gotta get rid of it. The pictures, I get it. The videos, you got to get rid of it. This is if you truly want to get over. Now, if you want to prolong it, if you want to, you know, by all means, keep it. But if you truly want to get over this person, if you truly want to feel better and get better, you got to get rid of it. Now, I know that some people, they hold on to hope. They have hope that you'll get back with that person. That's another tip I would add, is try to let go of that hope, because hope is what has you holding on for years. Hope is holding on and hoping and wishing that that person comes back. And when you have that mindset that you hope that they come back, you're going, and you know, in some situations, you know, I get it, sometimes it happens, you know, that's exceptions, that's not the rule. That some people, you know, that they come back and live happily ever after. You gotta really let it go to really get over it, because if you hold on to hope, let's just say a year go by, that person never come around, 2, 3 years, 5 years. I know people that have been holding on to people for years, still hoping that that person come around. Now think about this. Do you still, think about how you feel in the moment. Do you still want to feel like this next year? If you don't want to feel like this next year, you gotta let it go. Hope will have you feeling like this next year. Hope will have you feeling like this in 2, 3, 5 more years. You gotta let it go. The next thing I would say is that I want you to start thinking about, reflect on the relationship if you haven't already, and think about some things that you learned from the relationship, right? Don't beat yourself up, but kind of think about some things that you've learned from it that you feel like maybe you can do better going forward, right? That's one of the things that I know that has helped me, because I've realized that there were some things that I allowed for too long, and it made me look at me, and it made me look at my life to try to figure out, why did I allow this? Why was I holding on to that person? Ask yourself, why are you holding on so tight? What is it that you are afraid of, right? Are you trying to fill a void? When you can ask yourself those questions and really explore that will help you with your healing too, because then you'll begin to realize, okay, maybe I was so attached to this person because of this or that. And just to be transparent, this is something that I recently realized. When my mom died when I was 10, I never really felt loved after that. I didn't have a great relationship with my father because, and I've shared that in other videos, so I won't get into details, but I was treated badly by several family members, and my father was one of them. And so I did not feel loved at all for years. And it went into my adulthood. And so one of the things that I was able to realize was that I fought for love. Like if I was more attracted to situations in which I had to prove myself to a man, and I had to kind of get him to love me, and in my mind when I was younger, I would say I like a challenge, and that's not really what it was. What it was that I was used to having to fight for love and prove myself and try to get somebody to love me, that it was natural and it felt good. And in the absence of that, this preacher, I think it was T.D. Jakes, that pretty much said, in the absence of chaos or dysfunction, you get bored because you're so used to it, you don't know what to do. And so sometimes we get so attached to dysfunction and things like that, when we don't have that, we don't know what to do. And so you may even find that you may have had some issues maybe in your childhood that has you fighting for someone, chasing after someone that don't deserve you anyway, but you're so broken. You have a void that you're trying to fill, right? And that may not be you, but for those of you who can relate, you know what I'm talking about. So really just kind of explore and try to figure out, why am I holding on to this? What am I really looking for? Is it really about them, or is it about me being afraid of being alone? Is it about me trying to fill a void? Is it like, what is it? Like, really think about that. Okay, and the last thing I would say is, let this breakup be some kind of motivation for you, right? Whether it's motivation to get back to something that you let go before. Maybe you were working on something before and you kind of let it go, the relationship. Maybe, you know, the person you were with didn't like, didn't like hiking and you like that. Think about things that you can do now that that person didn't like to do, right? The places that person didn't like to eat that you love, you know, try to find a good in it. In that video also, I talked about, you know, how I found myself, I found my purpose after that big heartbreak that I had, and it propelled me into the woman that you see now. So find some motivation, right? Whether, like I said, finding something that you wanted to do that you couldn't do before. Maybe you can help somebody else. Now, you know, I know so many people who are helping other people now because of what they went through. They're writing, blogging, doing videos, starting a YouTube channel, whatever things that those are that you've been wanting to do. Maybe you paint, maybe you write. I don't know. I'm just giving ideas. I don't know what it is. But let this heartbreak be some kind of motivation to you. Find the good in this heartbreak, because, you know, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. You may be fresh out right now and you may be feeling like, I'm never going to get over this person. I'm never going to feel okay. I'm never going to be okay. When I tell you I understand, but I could tell you that you will get better, but you gotta go through it. You gotta go through it. So I can't tell you you're going to feel better if you're not doing what you gotta do. I always say stuff like this to my daughter. Like, you know, I'm like, if you want to do better, you want to feel better, we got to do something about it. You're not going to just wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm over them. You have to do the work. You got to, you know, take certain steps to get there. And this is one of them, finding the good. Let this be some kind of motivation to you, right? And so I hope and pray that these tips were helpful. Let me know down below. And also, like the video if it was helpful. Share it with someone who may be going through a heartbreak, right, and can benefit from the video. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so. If you have any prayer requests, video suggestions, or questions, feel free to email me. I'll leave it down below. Thank you again for visiting my channel. Be blessed.